Good day to you. Jim Laird joining you live from Dirioma, Nicaragua. I hope you are doing well today. Let us get going on Instagram. So there we go. We're up and running on Instagram. Happy Saturday to you. My Saturdays are usually busy, but today my Saturday was free. Schedule's a little different. My schedule will be normalizing here this week, and I will be able to get into a routine and have a regular schedule. So if you're not living under a rock, there is tons of talk of strength training and why it's beneficial, particularly for women. I've known this for a long time. Obviously, it's pretty much what I've done for a living for the last 30 years, particularly training women has pretty much been my specialty. The reason for that, the reason strength training is so important, especially for women, I mean, for guys too, women just don't hold muscle or build muscle as easily and as naturally as men do because they just don't have the hormone profile. I know it's kind of controversial that there's a difference between men and women, but that's just the way it is, like generally speaking. The reason strength training is so important today is because we don't do jack shit anymore. Like most people don't they don't shovel their own driveway, they don't mow their own grass. Like my grandfather, I was growing up, he was in his 80s, and his hands were so ridiculously strong because he basically ran a farm his whole life. He never drove a car. He didn't have a driver's license. He drove teams of horses. He did tons of chores. He built barns with his bare hands with like screwdrivers and hand cranks and hammers. He didn't have automatic tools. His hands, even in his 80s, were ridiculous. I remember playing soccer with him, and I think I was in the second grade maybe, and he kicked the ball at me and absolutely knocked me on my ass. They were very active back then. They did tons and tons of manual labor. Even I growing up, like I did tons of manual labor. I shoveled the driveway. I mowed the grass. I did chores. I baled hay. I ran jackhammers. I did construction work. Kids today don't do any of that stuff. Now, if I was a parent today, I would definitely get my kid a construction job. I would make him learn about manual labor. Kids don't play outside anymore. That's why they're so fragile. That's why they get hurt so much in sports. They specialize way too early, way too soon. We have a lot more genetic. More people are playing sports, and it's easier to find people, so that the outliers are rising to the top. But in general, kids are not as prepared overall for things. But that's why strength training, particularly for women, is so important, because even if you look at the 50s, 60s, 70s, women didn't necessarily lift weights. There wasn't a lot of gyms, but we didn't have the obesity epidemic because women were very active. With their families, they're doing a lot of chores. They were doing lots of work around the house. They generally lived a more outdoor life, a more active life. Today, you have less physical stress and tons of mental and emotional stress, which I think is a lot harder on the body. The body needs some sort of physical stress. And so basically, if you don't do some sort of strength training and some sort of training that puts stress on your body, you're basically going to rot and waste away, right? You're going to lose muscle mass. You're going to lose bone density, particularly living inside, not getting enough sun. So that's why strength training is absolutely critical today. And where most people go wrong is they start off they either don't do enough, or they go to a gym and they just get destroyed. Now, if you haven't done anything for a long time, or if you've never strength trained before, just sitting down and standing up in a chair, holding yourself in what I would call a bear position, or, doing some real basic floor exercises, picking up a 20, 25 pound dumbbell, walking with it. That's going to be enough to give you results. You don't have to do anything extraordinarily fancy. You don't have to strain yourself really hard. That's what you're going to need to do in the beginning to get better. You do that for a few weeks, and then you add a little bit more, and then you add a little bit more. And it's really, really simple. Most women need to add resistance pretty consistently. I know I'm doing a good job when I'm working with women when they're coming to me and say, hey, this isn't challenging enough. I need to add more weight. But you can make incredible progress with just body weight. I worked with a whole high school team for like 3 years, a basketball team. We didn't have any equipment, and it was amazing what we did with just body weight stuff, improving their speed, their strength, with just doing, real basic stuff, wall sits, fireman's carries, um, throwing medicine balls, wheelbarrow walks with, somebody walking on their hands, people holding the feet. There's all sorts of ways to get stronger with no equipment. And then once you have equipment, it's really, really simple. You just have to keep it simple. It's not complicated. There's so much information today. People get overwhelmed. Most guys that I deal with have lifted for a long time. So they actually need to train. Like most women are really gravitate towards like cardio. They gravitate towards bendy stuff. They don't really gravitate. It's better now than it used to be. They don't really gravitate towards the weight room so much, to speak. But most of the guys I deal with have grown up in the weight room, and they need to do some movement. They need to do Tai Chi. They need to do flowing things. They need to do a little bit more cardiovascular activity. So, a lot of what I prescribe people is based on who they are and what they have going on. And so I'm going to get over the next few weeks, I'm going to get into a lot of the tools that I use and why I use them. And there's so many different ways to get better, that it's confusing for people. Like as a coach, I've been forced over the years and here recently with something that I'm doing here in Nicaragua, I don't have equipment, got nothing. So I'm forced to use bodyweight stuff. So I have to be very creative. Sometimes you have to work with what you got. I've got clients that are at a gym. They don't necessarily have the equipment that I necessarily like, but we make do with what we have. And you can do some amazing things with some really simple stuff if it's challenging enough within reason. It should feel like you're challenging yourself just enough to get better. And you do that consistently over time. And then all of a sudden you've made a lot of improvements. And that's the consistency, putting together good training programs day in and day out. So what does it look like overall for most people, most women in particular? It's be active, get outside. If you've listened to me for a while, this is like a broken record. You have to walk every day. You have to get outside and be active daily. You need to get up and move around, cross connects. Sometimes I have a mat behind me here. I'll sit on both knees on the mat. I'll sit with one foot up on the mat when I'm doing calls. I'll sit on a stability ball. I'm constantly getting up and moving around between calls. I got a pool behind me. I'll go take a jog. I'll jog in the pool for 10 minutes. I got a rebounder around the corner. I got a heavy bag. I'll hit the bag for, a couple minutes, jump on the rebounder, do that for 5-10 minutes. Constantly every day. I'm always moving. I'm doing something. I'm getting my steps in. Constant daily movement, super important. And then 2 to 3 strength training sessions a week, depending on what your goals are. Most people are going to do full body in the beginning, sets of 10 on big compound movements, pairing things together so that you're not in the gym for hours. And then, as time goes on, you can get into something that's a little more, 5x5s or like a 5-3-1, or, then you can specifically, what weak areas you want to bring up if you want to improve, like your aesthetics and those sort of things. And then, walking every day, 10 minutes, 3 times a day, that's going to get a lot of your cardio. And then you want to do a couple, one conditioning day a week where you're essentially, you're doing like some sled pushing, medicine ball throws, maybe you're pairing circuits together, and then you're doing a couple real short, intense, intervals a week. So I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not. If you're active every day and you live 2 to 3 days a week, and then you do I'm going to talk about the Aerodyne here probably tomorrow. Like the Aerodyne by 10 seconds as hard as you can go, 45-second rest. You do like 8 to 10 rounds of that once or twice a week, or you get on a rower or a skier or something like that, or you hit a heavy bag. You do that a couple times a week. You're going to be in a really, really good place. Granted, if you're getting sleep, you're getting outside, you're managing stress, you're going to do much better than the vast majority of people. And honestly, I believe if most people knew how easy it was just to be in to get in a decent place, like, to be in decent shape and to have good body composition and to have good energy and to be able to like pick things up, like women in particular, pick up that 50-pound bag of dog food, put it in your cart, take it out to the car. If people knew how simple that was, I've done that, in my 20 years in Lexington with dozens and dozens of people that came to me because they had no idea, they knew they needed to start doing something, but they had no idea how to do it, or they had tried it with, doing it with somebody else and they got burned out or they got hurt or they didn't like it. Um, it's a really simple formula and it's super consistent. It's not exciting or sexy, but it's the consistency over time that really makes a difference. So thank you for being here today. I look forward to sharing more consistent content. Just remember, every day you should be taking a little time to build your resilience, make sure your circadian rhythm is in order, get outside, be active, and that's going to pay dividends for you in the future. Make sure you check out our show sponsor, which is Farrow, my friend Charles Mayfield's company. I've used the product for a long time. It's wonderful. It literally will take wrinkles, like you put a little bit of the tallow, or it's lard. It's not tallow. A little bit of lard on your skin. It'll literally, like, a couple of people in the women's group and the men's group have been like, my wrinkles go away instantly. It's hydrates your skin wonderfully well. You can go to my Farrow shop. I think it's farrow.shop. There's a link in the description below. You can use code Jim15. The face food is amazing to get 15% off. Check that out. It's a great product. The product is ethically raised. I know Charles personally. I've been to his place. I've hung out with him many times. Excuse me. And of course, if you want to join one of our communities, the men's group or the women's group, vitalitybrotherhood.com, vitalitysisterhood.com. You can join either community there. If you have been exercising for a long time, and this is pretty much my specialty, people that have been exercising, they're working hard and they're not seeing results. If you go to vitalitybrotherhood.com, there's a button there to sign up for the results course. And I'm going to basically talk to you about why you're not seeing the results that you should be. And you can sign up for that free mini course. And of course, I'd love to see you in one of the groups. Have yourself a great day. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Let me check Instagram and make sure there are no questions. Oh, am I live on Instagram? I don't know. Maybe not. I hit the go live button. So, oh well, doesn't look like I went live on Instagram. My mistake. So have yourself a great day. I actually have a bunch of questions saved up. I'll be doing a Q&A here soon. And I'm looking forward to getting into a routine and a regular schedule. Take care. Make sure you get outside today.